Okay, I'm still not having any luck finding the intake gaskets. They're Mr. Gasket 405Gs, and everyone's out of stock. But this car's not doing me any good. I can't drive it, so I'm going to start pulling all this stuff off here and getting this intake going. See, I've already started. I've removed the radiator hose, the bracket for the alternator. I started disconnecting the carburetor here. So I'm going to continue on this and pull this apart and get this further down and keep moving along here, I guess. Okay, you can see I removed everything. The intake's ready to have its bolts taken out and removed. And this one has Allen head bolts that hold this intake down. I think it's because the heads were smaller. I don't know. I may change those out. I really didn't care for them when I put them on to begin with, but that's what it came with. So I'll probably remove those. I probably should remove the oil fill neck, but the intake should go straight down, so I'm not going to mess with it. If I need to remove it after I get the intake off, I will, but that's not my plan. That big cast iron bracket for that air conditioner, man, that thing weighs a ton. I'm going to get these bolts pulled, get that intake popped off there. But you can see this thing right here, who I was talking about, this is cast iron, and it is heavy. It is really heavy. Guess I didn't want that AC compressor to move. You know, and I, like I say, got all the other parts pulled off. I pulled the distributor out, and the pump shaft came with it. The little shaft that goes down to the oil pump. Make sure I drop that back in the right place. Put it back before I put the distributor in. I did pull my thermostat. You probably wouldn't have had to, but I pulled the housing. I just think it's easier. I'll get a new gasket for that. And I also pulled the oil sending unit just because I didn't want to break it, and it sticks up a little bit, and I didn't want that intake to smack it and break it. So I just pulled it. I'll put it back in later. But yeah, I'm going to get these bolts out, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to grab me a pry bar, and we'll see if we can get this to pop loose. Oh, piece of cake. There we go. That's loose. There we go. Wow, that gasket was destroyed. Destroyed. Let me show you what's going on there. All right, here's what we got. Looks like most of the gasket came up with the manifold. See that antifreeze? That's what I said about Oldsmobile not having a valley pan to catch all that, unless you use one of those turkey trays, and you still won't catch it all. So when you do this, you got to change your oil. And as you can see, my exhaust ports were plugged. A friend of mine did that to me when he sold me these heads. He already had them worked, ready to go. But yeah, these gaskets, wow. Soaked, shot. Bottom of the intake here. Guess we can take a look, see what we got. This is the side that was leaking. Right back there. I'm not sure why. It just looks like it was leaking. Yeah, I know they tell you not to use these rubber gaskets on here. You know, most people do not use them. I'd even say even the professionals don't use them. They just put a heavy bead silicone. But I put them on there, and then I put a heavy bead on top of them. So that way it would seal against the intake. So now I gotta get this all cleaned up, and I'm still searching for gaskets. They messaged me, Jags did, let me know now the manufacturer, which is Mr. Gasket or Mahle, pushed these back to the end of September. And I can't wait until the end of September. So I'm gonna try to find a different alternative. If I have to put the metal turkey tray in there, I will, but I really don't want to. But if that's my last resort, that's what I'm gonna do. I also hear they make a 2-piece metal gasket set. I may look into that, but as you can see, like I said, now I gotta get all these surfaces cleaned up and get this mess cleaned up, and I need to order gaskets. I need to order thermostat housing gasket. I need to go get oil filter. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I add a zinc additive to my cars. So I will be adding a zinc additive to this and get this all cleaned up. All right. I'm kind of hearing a fan in the background. Sorry about that. I went ahead and got this cleaned up. I'm gonna have to get a new carburetor gasket, new thermostat gasket. I clean those up. See the paint's coming off, so I decided I was going to go ahead and just repaint this. So I took all the other fittings and things off so I could do that. See the back side. Got it pretty well. So that's cleaned up. Like I say, I'm going to go ahead and repaint this. Get it ready. Now the hard part comes, because now you gotta get those surfaces clean. That's a lot of bending over and trying to get that all cleaned up. So I'm sure my back's gonna kill me after I get this done. I'm gonna put some paper towels down in that valley and scrape all that off there and get that cleaned up. Like I say, I still gotta change the oil no matter what, but that'll keep a lot of that debris out of there. So I'm gonna go paint that intake right now. Okay, got my intake painted. Let it dry here. Can't do anything with it anyhow because I don't have any gaskets, but at least it's ready to go. And I thought while I was at it, I might as well sandblast and do this thermostat housing. It looks worse for wear. I think a new paint job would help that out too. So, wow, sandblasting made that look ugly. So let's get some paint on that thing. Gotta wash it first. So let me clean this off with wax and grease remover and throw some paint on it. Okay, got that all painted up. It looks a lot better, doesn't it? At least I think it does. Definitely looks a lot better than it did. Okay, surface is cleaned, ready to go. Let's take this over with the intake, show you what I've done there. See, here it is. You're gonna hear a fan. Guess I could shut it off, I'm done. Anyway, put the intake back together, little pieces after I got it painted. So it's basically ready to go. I've got to get carburetor gaskets, thermostat housing gaskets, intake gaskets. You know how it works, man. Over here on the motor, I just mentioned I was going to take a break. You can see I haven't even started scraping these yet. There's a reason for that. My back is hurting just from what I've already done. So I'm going to go take some leave, chill out for about an hour. Then I'm going to come out and start scraping these again and get this cleaned up and ready. And while I'm in the house, chilling out for about an hour, I'll do some internet searching and see if I still can't track down some gaskets for this, or if someone has recommended something. You know, like I said, I can always go back to the metal turkey tray, but I really don't want to. I don't know why. Metal, I know a factory used metal and it was fine, but for some reason, I just don't feel that way. Plus, I think it'd be a lot easier for me doing this by myself to put the other ones on. I had mentioned about these bolts that basically I didn't like the Allen heads and I was probably going to do away with them. Well, changed my mind because where this one goes, you're not going to get a wrench down there whatsoever to tighten that up if it was a bolt. And I think the bolt head itself would hit. And you can see the washer's already been tacked up so that it'll fit in there nice and tight, just the way it is. So I'm going to stick with the Allen heads. I'm just going to put them back in there. That's just the way it is. Wonder where I got that at. That's not cool. I cleaned that up. I may have to dry that off and reshoot that little spot. No, I just went ahead and dried it off. It's fine. I think it'll be okay. I'm not going to repaint that little spot. So, hey, back in a little bit. All right. Got those gaskets scraped off there. Come on over to the other side a little bit. Got them scraped. Have to wash them down yet. Get that cleaned up. I did find some gaskets from Summit Racing, but they're supposed to be for a small block Olds. So we'll see. Hopefully it works out for me. And I do have the metal ones coming. They'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to try to decide which ones to use. I really don't want to use metal, like I said. I'm just not into metal. But between the two of them, you know, I'll decide which one to use and we'll get this put back together. Hopefully this coming weekend. Today is Tuesday. I got to work Thursday and Friday. And by the way, I did end up painting that. I just couldn't leave it go. Yeah, I was like, no way, I got to paint it. You know, 30 seconds of my time. But 4 weeks for my Mr. Gasket gaskets to show up, which they did not. They ended up telling me now they're back ordered till the end of September, which means Mr. Gasket or Mahle just aren't producing them. So I went out and got this gasket. And I'll tell you, I don't like metal gaskets. But I went and bought this kit just in case. I ordered it. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to use it. I'm like 100% I'm not going to use it. Then I went out and bought these gaskets. These gaskets are what I'm looking for. You know, like a composite for my Oldsmobile. And I know I'm going to butcher their name. And I've used their parts in motors lots of times. I think it's called Mahle. There's the part number. Small block Olds. But I ordered these gaskets. And what I understand, and these were recommended by a friend, what I understand is these are trimmable. So you can match them to your intake. And what I mean by that is, if you take a look at one of these gaskets and you put it on here like it belongs, I can't get it on here. If you get it on there like that, that's basically how it goes on there. Down here, there's a whole lot of room. As you can see right here, these big cutouts, you put that up there, yeah, you're covering all that. So you can go in and actually trim these little spots out to make it fit a little better, if that's what you would like to do. And I think I'm going to just trim them just a little bit to get them where I want them. And of course, I got turned backwards. That's how it goes. Like that. And I can go back there and trim a little of that. And it's all going to seal. And but these are the gaskets I've decided to go with. So I'm going to mark these a little bit. Flip this over. Get these marked. See if I can't show you here. A little bit better. These basically go in there like that, and you can see all this extra. So I'm going to go in and knock this extra off. I'm just going to trim it down, cut that out. Just cosmetically make it look better. You don't have to, but that's what I'm going to do. I've got a lot of parts laying around, so I'm going to start getting this ready. Right now, my one thing is back here in the back water ports, I have water still, and I need to get that water gone. So that means I just didn't take enough antifreeze out. But I'm going to opt for jacking up the back of the car, leveling out the motor, and that water should basically, what I want to say, level out in the block, set and disappear inside the block a little bit, you know. So I'm going to do that right now and see if I can get this water gone and get it dried up, clean these surfaces off. Okay, what I've done is I put RTV around the water ports. See there? Yes, I use my rubber gaskets. What I'm going to do now is put my intake gaskets in place. And on here, I'm going to put a huge thick layer on the front and back. I mean, we're talking a really, really thick layer. So it'll squeeze down and seal. Like I say, some people will not use these gaskets. I will. I got them RTV down, so, and you put a big dab in each corner, start out with. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay, those gaskets are there. I got silicone around the water ports, like I said, RTV, put the gasket down. So now I'm gonna put more RTV around the water inlets or outlets, whatever you wanna call them, ports. Put that around there, and I'm gonna put a really thick bead on these rubber gaskets in the front and back, and then I'm gonna drop that intake on. I've got that really, really thick bead, front and back. Yes, it might be overkill, don't care. It'll seal it and stop any vacuum leaks. And my intake needs to drop straight down, so I've added this bolt so I can hang on to it, and I can grab a hold of this, and I can set that straight down on there. That's my plan, because these gaskets will slide, and I want to just drop it straight on. Start my bolts, make sure everything's nice and lined up, get all these bolts in there, and go from there. The intake went right on, dropped right in. All the bolts are snug, but they are not tight. There's a reason for that. I want that RTV to set up a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and torque these the rest of the way. But for right now, I just want it to set up. That way when I tighten it down, it'll crush it and seal it better. So I'll let this set up and get these tightened down. Okay, I let that set up a while. Thought I'd show you what I'm going to do next. Aluminum intake, I guess, is supposed to be tightened down to 25 foot-pounds. So got my torque wrench out, and here's what I'm using since I have an Allen head bolts. So first I'm going to take them to 15, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to 25. Okay, intake's torqued down. I won't add any water to this until probably tomorrow. I'll let this basically RTV set up before I throw water at it. I'm just going to start putting everything back together, which I'm not going to bore you with all that. You know, carburetor, thermostat housing, brackets, and of course the distributor. So I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm just going to go ahead and put it back together, and I'll show you the end result. I did want to show you one thing. Earlier in the video, I said I was going to jack up the back of the car to get that water level, because the engine was pitched down when it's sitting on the ground, and the water was still running out in back ports because I didn't drain enough out. This is basically all I did. All I did was jack the back up about 2 inches, 3 inches with a floor jack. See the floor jack? Jacked it up so that way the water would level out in that block and not be all the way to the back running out while I try to put all that together. You definitely don't want water running over your RTV and your gasket as you're trying to put it back together. And like I said, I'll start putting this back together. Done. Back together. Still got to go ahead and fill up the water yet, so I'm going to wait. Like I said, I'm going to give it at least a day for everything to cure out. I'm going to fill it up with water and see what happens. I already hit the key, it starts up. So everything's back, timing, everything's back where it belongs. I don't want to run it without water, so gonna have to wait, and we'll see if we got any leaks or anything. Okay, my next one is gonna be cleaning this up. Today is Saturday, Thursday night, and this is the first show I'm ever gonna take it to. See how it comes out, see what people think, but I gotta get this all cleaned up, swept up, make it look pretty. And that's Thursday night. And then Saturday's another show, and I'm taking my truck, so I also have to get my truck cleaned up. But that's where I'm at right now. The Olds, I think it's good to go now. As soon as I get it filled up with water tomorrow and make sure there's no leaks, fingers crossed. Like I say, if you enjoyed my video, please like, share, subscribe. You know, more subscribers, the better. I'm happy to have this project done. Now I have some porch steps to work on. So thanks for watching my video. Later.